Dontae.
Mr. Sylvertooth, this is Captain Linlor. I saw that you just called. Have you sent over any proposed facts with the details of what you want to talk about?
There is no proposed fact. We're trying to see. You indicated at the deposition that you will work. That we just needed to talk a little bit in regards to the manual. I see that you filed your motion to compel. I haven't read it. But no, so to answer your question, there are no proposed facts.
Okay, so if you have a proposal, it would be most useful if we'd be able to have that prep for the meeting instead of suggesting something verbally without any time to think about it ahead of time. Were you suggesting to do something like that, or what do you have in mind?
No, it would be having a discussion between you, myself, and TSA, SSI authority.
Do you have something in mind right now, or do we need to go and set up a phone call for later on? I tried to suggest times on Friday when I had some time. I have other things going on today that I have to attend to, so I can try to call back briefly, but otherwise it's going to need to be a brief discussion, and again, I'm not quite sure of the topics because there's been nothing put on the table yet.
Okay, so how much time do you have now approximately?
About 10 minutes right now.
Okay, let me try to loop in the TSA attorney.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Captain Linlor.
Yes.
Okay, I think I have Nathan on the phone as well.
Yep, I'm here. Thanks.
Okay. So what we wanted to do, Captain Linlor, is to see if we could figure out the process by which you could potentially receive access to portions of the SOP that were withheld from the deposition on the 20th on the grounds that it's FSI and that there's a final order saying that we can't release it in part or in whole. So I'm going to, Nathan, you can take over since you have the knowledge about the process that Captain Linlor would need to submit to in order to gain proper access.
So I guess the first step is we could send you a letter that would explain exactly how it works, and I'm going to have to pop it up. But the basics are that you'll have to go to a fingerprinting location. You'll get fingerprinted. You'll fill out a form, and then the service that the government uses will perform a criminal history records check, and they will also then submit the information to TSA for a terrorism threat assessment. And then once the results of both of those are back, it usually takes 2 weeks or less. Once the results of those are back, TSA will then issue its determination about whether or not you can be considered a cleared person for access. So that's kind of the basic gist of the process.
I'm familiar with the process you're discussing. I've seen that. However, as an airline pilot, I'm already cleared for SSI. It's kind of a moot point.
So on that question of whether you are a covered party within the meaning of the SSI regulations, we would need to get employer information from you so that we would be able to verify that. And then on setting that point aside, whether you're a covered person under the regulations, you still wouldn't have a need to know this specific SSI. So there's two requirements under the regulations. You have to be a covered person, and you have to have a need to know. And so
why do you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's the basics. Go ahead.
Why do you suggest that I do not have a need to know the sliver of information that is listed on the subpoena?
So the need to know is explained in the regulations and defined there. So it explains the circumstances under which a covered party has a need to know. And you don't fall within any of those categories for needing to know this particular SSI, which is the part of TSA's checkpoint screening SOP. So that's not something that you would have a need to know by virtue of your job.
Is what you're referring to, because you keep expanding what you described that I'm claiming, which I believe is inaccurate and misleading. And I've read the regulations you're talking about for need to know, and we agree to disagree then. But what I'm asking about are the very specific force and pressure guidelines. And if you want to have a discussion on some of this, and even the demand that you have that this is SFI, the first thing you have to do under Gordon is to go and make a claim as to how the specific items that I'm looking for are SSI. And if you don't need Gordon v. FBI on that, then I'm not going to agree that any of this is even SSI, and therefore you have no standing to make that claim. Are you going to go, and my question to both of you, please, gentlemen, is are you going to go and make an explanation following the rules set forth by the court in Gordon v. FBI and explain why the specific items listed on the subpoena, why you claim that those are SSI? That's my question to you, please.
So I think maybe there's a little confusion here. So I hear what you said in regards to what's on the subpoena. So TSA has reviewed the subpoena. I reviewed the subpoena. We've identified documents that are responsive to the subpoena. Those documents include the 3 sets of documents that you received at the deposition on October the 20th. And the other aspect that would be potentially covered by the subpoena is a portion of the SOP manual, which is part of the objections. So TSA has already determined that the SOP is SSI. So we don't need to go through any other Gordon v. FBI standards that you're alluding to, which, oh, by the way, I do not even think is applicable to this case. But TSA has already identified the entire SOP, which is what is at stake in regards to the objections as SSI. So that the administrator has already issued a final order on that.
And Dontae, can I help clarify just a little bit too, maybe? So,
yes.
So Captain Linlor, what you've asked for is guidance about pressure. And so we have determined that there is some guidance about pressure within the SOP, within one particular chapter of the SOP. But the SOP itself, all parts of it, even the chapter that we believe may have some responsive information, all parts of the SOP are already designated as SSI that can't be released, and they're designated in 2 ways. First, the regulation itself says that the SOP is SSI, and second, there is a final order of the TSA administrator that says that the SOP is SSI and can't be no part of it can be disclosed. So that's where we are.
That's the end of that conversation. That's the end of that conversation. Then you can just then withhold it under your claim. We'll see if your claim gets overridden or not. I believe that I've stated enough points, but I'm not going to go through the hoops you're talking about, because it's going to fall outside of the process of the scheduling order defined by the court anyway. And I disagree that it is necessary based upon my standing. So is there anything else we need to discuss?
No, if you're not interested in trying to resolve it by going through the process that TSA has outlined, and that's in Section 525D, then I don't think there's anything else, because we don't even have the requisite information from you to confirm whether or not you actually fall as a covered employee, other than you saying that you are a certified airline captain. We have no knowledge regarding that. And so if you provide us with the minimum information to determine whether you're a covered person, the problem still becomes, as Nathan identified, is that you don't meet the requirements of SSI for a need to know on the regulations. I know we have a difference of opinion on that. So we're trying, what we were trying to do is to get you to the point of a need to know or being a covered person under Section 525D. But if you're not interested in that,
it's not that I'm not interested. We disagree. It's not that I'm not interested. It's that we did several different things. We disagree that it is applicable. We disagree that I'm going to go and submit to a process which you're already saying is not going to have an end state where it will even be allowed to be disclosed anyway. I'm not going to go and dangle somehow my getting to go and see something that's SSI that I already see all the time, says somehow be under the defendant's, in this case, third party, okay, not defendant, but third party TSA's decision whether or not to go and grant me access by the grace of the king to go and have access to something I already have access to. So I'm not going to go and subjugate myself to a process. It's not a question of being interested or not interested. You've already laid too many roadblocks in this, and it is the fox guarding the hen house. So the fact that you're going and saying now would do all these things, and I'm not interested in the SOP. I'm interested in if there are, 3 substances or something. Now, you haven't shown that you have taken the steps required that I've already laid out previously, that you are required to do to go, and you said to the final determination, but I don't see where you have made the good faith efforts to try and have this level of pressure or excessive force disclosed. So I don't think that you have met any of the standards you are required to. I'm certainly not going to subjugate myself to something else that you are putting out there. And right now, you're putting nothing in writing. We're doing everything off the cuff here. I'm answering your questions. I think that's closed. I think that unless you've got something else, I've got to run on with my day, and you can write and file what you want. But if you represent that I'm not interested because I'm just not willing to cooperate, that is misleading and incorrect, and I will go and counter that. It would be something totally different.
All right.
That I'm not
Mr. Linlor, Captain Linlor, I understand your position. I don't think there's anything further to discuss. Nathan, anything further from you?
No, I just do want to clarify. So I heard you say there that you were not interested in the SOP, but are you indeed? You do intend to seek the portions of the SOP that are responsive to your inquiry about pressure, or you don't intend to seek that information?
I intend to seek the specific details wherever they are coming from, and I do not, because I don't know what I don't know. The details regarding excessive force and pressure may be in the SOP. They may very well, just as well likely, be in other documents that are not SSI either. And so there isn't necessarily a single point of source with these, that there would not be some means to go and release the information. And if you say that there is no release, let me say one more thing, please. Let me say one more thing. If you say that you don't have any releasable information, that's fine. However, then you have no evidence to prove that there is a standard which has already been claimed by your former partner, Ms. Murley. So you've got nothing to go and stand on.
Can I just ask, my specific question is, to the extent that those details that you are talking about, to the extent those details are in the SOP, you do or do not intend to seek them?
I haven't decided right now, but I'll tell you this, from a language standpoint, commas and periods and spaces are in the SOP also, and I don't think you can lay claim to those either.
Your phone broke, Captain Linlor.
I was just saying that if you're claiming to any, yeah, I'm still here. Could you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Sorry.
Hello? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I
was just
can hear
saying
you.
that from this, I haven't not decided the answer to the question of seeking things in the SOP or not. I have not decided on my answer to that. And the other part is the fact that the TSA is taking information from other documents and then wrapping it into the SOP to be able to assert privilege claims of SSI when that information is available in other documents where there are no claims to SSI, has not been answered by TSA or by anyone. So I'm saying that I am not seeking to go and say it has to be out of the SOP. The information that I'm looking for, I believe, as responsive information, was in some place other than the SOP before you wrapped it into there. And because there's been no explanation of how that information is SSI, I'm looking to see wherever the information came from. The point is to find information to arrive at the truth in this case, not to go and say, well, it has to be SOP. I'm not looking for SOP. I'm looking for the information depending upon where it may have been originally sourced from.
Okay. I don't have anything. Nathan?
No, nothing else. Thanks.
Okay. All right, Captain Linlor. We cannot reach agreement on this, and that's unfortunate this time, but we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you both. Bye-bye.